Draft is now less than 2 weeks away, so I will be doing my first and final mock draft of the year. It'll be a round one mock draft. I'm on PFF. I do not have PFF, so there will be no trades. I'm not like predict some trades throughout this video, but in terms of actually what I can do, I cannot make trades. But so let's go ahead and start off with the number one overall pick. The 2025 NFL Draft has officially opened, and with the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. This just makes too much sense. The Titans absolutely need a quarterback. They cannot head in with Will Levis as a starting quarterback next season. I don't think Will Levis is horrible, like a lot of people do, but he's just not that good. He's not a starting caliber quarterback in this league. He has really good arm talent, but I don't love Will Levis at all. They have to improve the quarterback position. They've shown so much interest in Cam Ward, almost to the point where how much interest the Bears showed with Caleb Williams last year before they drafted him. So I'm pretty sure this is locked in, set in stone, that the Titans will be taking Cam Ward number one overall. I've heard rumors that they could take a different player or another quarterback if they get a substantial trade offer and they could trade back. I just don't personally see them doing that. So Cam Ward goes number one to the Titans. Now, Browns at number two. A lot of people have a lot of different directions here. Shedeur Sanders could go here. Joe Flacco, my guy, just signed back with the Browns a couple of days ago. This is being recorded on the 13th. He just got signed by the Browns a couple days ago, so he's most likely going to be the starter heading into next season. They also traded for Kenny Pickett. They do not have Dorian Thompson-Robinson on the roster anymore. They traded him for Kenny Pickett. So their two quarterbacks right now are Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. I think there's somebody else, but I'm losing his mind. I can't think of the name right now. So Deshaun Watson. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but he's gonna miss all the 2025 season most likely with a torn Achilles that he tore a couple months ago, after the season ended. So he could go quarterback. He could go Shedeur Sanders. I don't personally love Shedeur Sanders from the small tape I've watched. He's more of a mid-first round pick to me. But they could go here number two. They could go Abdul Carter. They could go Travis Hunter. Some people haven't even have them potentially going an offensive tackle, which is stupid to me. But overall with the, let's see here, if I can find the right position. If with the second overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter, cornerback, Colorado. It's just too obvious to me. I mean, some people would say, oh, they don't need cornerback. He plays wide receiver and cornerback. He's the most gifted player coming out of the draft in a very long time when it comes to be able to play multiple positions, especially at one of the hardest positions in the NFL to play at corner. Travis Hunter is going to be an absolute monster in the NFL. Travis Hunter to the Browns just make too much sense. I know they got Denzel Ward. I know they got Greg Newsome. And at receiver, they got Jerry Jeudy, but Elijah Moore is still a free agent. They need another receiver, in my opinion. So it just makes too much sense to me. It sounds like Travis Hunter has more of a chance to play wide receiver actually than corner in the NFL, which is surprising to me. But I think he would fit in really well with the Browns. So I just think this is now I'm not saying this is BPA. To me, the Browns need a cornerback / wide receiver more than they do as a guy like Abdul Carter. Quarterback is not in the consideration for me here. I think you should go with Jalen Milroe, pick 34 or something like that, is what I would personally do. I know Jalen Milroe has been getting a lot of buzz around the NFL that he could go into the first round. He was invited to the NFL draft in Green Bay and he accepted it, so he will be there. Usually that's only for first round high-end prospects. I don't know what just happened. So I'm surprised that he got invited, so maybe he does sneak into the first round. I'd be personally shocked, but Travis Hunter goes to the Browns. Now, with the third overall pick, the Giants, this is very interesting. They got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston this offseason. They still have Tommy DeVito as well. They could go Abdul Carter, best player available. It sounds like he wants to be a Giant from what he's been posting on Instagram. He is the best defensive end in this class, no doubt about it. If I do release a defensive end ranking video, he's obviously going to be number one. There's no question. He's the most gifted pass rusher coming out of the draft I've seen since Aiden Hutchinson. He is so talented. He's going to be an absolute monster. Reminds me a lot of Micah Parsons. He's going to be an absolute monster. He wants to be a New York Giant, so with the third overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Abdul Carter, defensive end, Penn State. It's just, you're going BPA here. If I'm the Giants, you have too many glaring needs. I've heard rumors. There was a trade proposal the other day that I saw that the Lions would trade pick 28 to, I believe it was pick 34 to the New York Giants. or pick 36. It's just 35 or 36, something like that, to the New York Giants, and they would receive the 35-36 overall pick and Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm doing that if I'm the Lions. You move back a couple of spots, especially depending who's available. Kayvon Thibodeau's not that great of a defensive end. You look at his stats, you might say he's good, but you watch the film, he's not. Has not lived up to the 5th, 6th, I think 6th overall pick that he was projected to be, or that he was. He has not lived up to it, but still a solid defensive end. They have Brian Burns. They have Sexy Dexy. So I think they just go best player available here. They have too many glaring needs. I say they probably trade Kayvon Thibodeau, try to get something for him. I don't know. I just think they go best player available here. Now with the 4th overall pick, this is an area where I would have the New England Patriots trading the pick. Since Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are gone, they would trade this pick, in my opinion. They could go Mason Graham, very talented nose defensive tackle from Michigan. They could go Tedero Mimon, but it's a huge reach. Ashton Jenney probably makes the most sense here. I know they got Ramondre Stevenson, but he's so hit or miss. He has one good season and he sucks next. That could be because of the offensive line. That could be because of their horrible offense. But that will be improved this year. But personally, I would trade back here if I'm the New England Patriots, probably to around the pick 8 area or pick 7 area, even potentially the pick 6 area with the Raiders. The Saints make a lot of sense here to potentially move up to pick 4, in my opinion, to select Shedeur Sanders, and the Patriots move back to pick 9 and still potentially be able to get a guy like Tedero McMillan or Will Campbell, somebody like that, maybe even Armand Membu. So if I could make trades, I would have the New Orleans Saints moving up to pick 4 to select Shedeur Sanders. So if you somehow can remember everything I've said in this video, then these are the trades that I would do. But since I can't make trades, it's not going to be able to work. Actually, you know what? Screw it. We're going to say the Saints trade up to pick 4. So this is the Saints currently on the clock. The Saints are on the clock. They have traded the 4th pick. The New England Patriots have traded the 4th pick to the New Orleans Saints. With the 4th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado. Again, I've not loved his film, but I've not watched enough of him to have a full opinion on him. Again, to me, he's more of a mid-first-round pick. Again, this is the Saints, not the Patriots, so don't get that messed up. He is a pretty decent quarterback. Last year, though, he probably would have been on the same level as Bo Nix coming out of the draft. Bo Nix is an absolute monster, but Shedeur Sanders goes to the New Orleans Saints at pick 4, who trade up with the New England Patriots. Personally, I think that's a good pick and a good move by the New England Patriots. With the 5th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan. A lot of people have had him going here. It makes the most sense. The run defense was bottom in the league last year, one of the bottom in the league last year. They got Davon Hamilton, that's about it. Their edges are really good. They got Josh Allen, they got Trevon Walker. They got some good, decent edges, but they need to help that interior a lot. That interior is horrible. They need to improve that run game. Mason Graham can do both within the run game and pass rush. So Mason Graham, in my opinion, goes pick 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just makes too much sense. Now with the 6th overall pick, the Raiders, this is also an easy pick for me. But we have a trade. Since Ben Johnson went to the Bears, Ben Johnson is going to want to add to that offense. He saw what the lethal duo of Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs did in Detroit. He's going to want to try to do that with the Bears. They still have DeAndre Swift. Now they're going to trade up with the Raiders to pick 6. They will give the Raiders pick 10 and pick 41, I believe is what they have, to select Ashton. The Las Vegas Raiders have traded the 6th overall pick to the Chicago Bears. With the 6th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Ashton Jenney, running back, Boise State. It just makes too much sense. I think Ben Johnson's going to personally do this in real life. I wouldn't even be surprised if they moved all the way up to number 4 to take him. Again, this is the Bears, not the Raiders. It sucks that I can't make trades, but it is what it is. Ashton Jenney, I haven't watched much film of him, obviously, because the Lions don't need running back. But I understand he ran for over 2,000 yards last year. He's one of the most talented and most productive running backs coming out of college in a long time, arguably history. So I know he's very talented. He's a bigger back. He plays like an elusive back. He plays like a power back. So I think he'd fit very well in the Bears offense. And I would absolutely hate for the Bears to get him at pick 6, pick 10, whatever it is. I would hate to have them go to that team. That Bears offense would be lethal, man, if Caleb can develop, which I think he will. All right, with the 7th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Armand Membu, tackle, Missouri. This makes too much sense in my opinion. They could go Tyler Warren, but it's a tight end at pick 7. I don't know if he'll go that high. Probably about on the same level as Brock Bowers. Haven't much watched film again because he's a tight end. But Armand Membu, arguably the most talented tackle in this draft, if you count Will Campbell as a guard, which he's probably most likely going to play since his arms are shorter on the short end. But Armand Membu goes to the Jets. They did not re-sign Tyron Smith. He's still a free agent. Olu Fashanu could move to tackle. I think he played guard last season for him, so he could move back to tackle. But either way, Olu Fashanu could stay at guard, and then they get their tackle of the future in Armand Membu. That could be a deadly duo on that offensive line for the New York Jets by taking Armand Membu at number 7. With the 8th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select. Call me crazy for this one. Ooh. I don't know. Oh, I gotta think about this. I've had a lot of directions. I've done some mock drafts on my own that I haven't uploaded to YouTube, obviously, just in my free time. I've had the Panthers going like 5 different routes. I've had them taking Tedderell McMillan. I've had them taking Will Campbell sometimes. I've had them taking Jalen Walker, Mike Green. Even I think one time I had them taking Will Johnson. So I've had them going a lot of different routes here. But I think it's got to go best player available. In my opinion, the best player available is Mike Green. However, I don't think the Panthers are going to view that here, in my opinion. I think personally they're probably going to go where's the Jalen Walker, edge from I'm listed as a linebacker, edge from Georgia. So with the 8th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Jalen Walker, defensive end, Georgia. He's definitely going to be a defensive end. He can play linebacker, but he's definitely more of a pass-rushing linebacker. Reminds me of Micah Parsons, not quite as much as Abdul Carter does. Plays a little bit bigger than Micah Parsons, in my opinion. And he gets at the quarterback. Again, I personally like Mike Green a little bit more than Jalen Walker, but I think the Panthers would probably take Jalen Walker over a guy like Mike Green just because of Jalen Walker's flexibility. They lost Shaq Thompson. They released him. He is still currently a free agent. They've not re-signed him back, so they need help the linebacker position and defensive end position. Right now, the number 1 defensive end is Jadeveon Clowney. He was horrible last season. He had like 4 sacks. He's not number 1 defensive end. He's not a bad player, but he's an edge 2 or edge 3 at best, in my opinion. They still got DJ Wanham, who I really like, but he's also not an edge 1. So the Panthers improve at defensive end / linebacker. Now, with the 9th overall pick, this, keep in mind, is the New England Patriots pick who they traded with the New Orleans Saints. So with the 4th overall, with the 9th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Will Campbell, tackle, LSU. Again, he's gonna play guard in the NFL, most likely, but he's listed as tackles, and he probably will get drafted as a tackle and then switched over. So with the 9th overall pick, again, the Patriots. Keep in mind the Patriots select Will Campbell. This is a great pick, great value pick here. The fact that he goes lower than what Joe Alt did last year, they were probably on the same level coming out of the draft. This just makes too much sense for the New England Patriots. Now, with the 10th overall pick, which who did they trade? The Raiders. This is getting confusing. All right, that's late at night, by the way, when I'm making this video, so that's why I'm stuttering a lot. So, the Las Vegas Raiders traded back with the Bears, so now the Las Vegas Raiders are picking pick 10 here. And this is an interesting option here for the Raiders, and I just think they go BPA here. With the 10th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Tedderell McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona. Some people say that Matthew Golden is the best wide receiver in the draft. Personally, I don't see that. Tedderell McMillan, big body receiver, 6'4", I think 215. He's huge. He's going to be awesome in the NFL. For number 1 receiver coming out of the draft, the best receiver coming out of the draft, you would want better than probably Tedderell McMillan. Just for example, last year's draft, he probably would have fell to like pick 20, pick 25, maybe even would have been probably a late first-round pick. But this top end of the receiver class is not very good. And Tedero Millen is definitely the best player available. I've loved the film I've watched from him so far. I think getting him pick 10 is probably where he's going to go, and I think that's great value for the Las Vegas Raiders. So, with the 11th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, this could be a trade back option, though. This really could be a trade back option. Um, the 49ers, they lost a lot of key pieces this offseason, and they lost Dre Greenlaw, they lost Taliana Hufanga, they lost Debo, they lost a lot of good players, man, on that. They lost Aaron Banks, they lost a lot of good players, they lost Leonard Floyd. I can keep going on and on. They lost so many talented players this offseason. Charvarius Ward. They lost so many players this offseason. This could be a trade back option for the San Francisco 49ers. They do have a lot of youth on that team that I'm sure they want to develop. There's not really a BPA player available that they would take, in my opinion. They now need a defensive end opposite Nick Bosa since they released Leonard Floyd, but I don't know if they go Mike Green here. So I really don't know. They do need an offensive lineman, but I think taking a guy like Josh Simmons or a guy like Kelvin Banks is probably a slight of a reach here. However, they do need offensive line. They got Trent Williams, who I believe is turning 36, something like that this year. They got Mike McGlinchey. No, he actually went to the Broncos a couple years back. But they need help on that offensive line for sure. They also need help on that defensive line and cornerback room. And I think personally, so with 11th overall pick, 2025 draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. He's from Michigan, so I've watched a little bit more film of him, obviously. I like Will Johnson a lot, but he's probably not any higher for me than what I like Terran Arnold coming out of the draft. I personally probably even like Terran Arnold a little bit more coming out of the draft last season. But Will Johnson goes to San Francisco 49ers to pick 11. They need a new number one corner. I think they got somebody in free agency. I think they signed the Patriots cornerback, Jonathan Jones. I think from last season, that's wrong. I know it's wrong, but I know they got another cornerback. I'm losing off the top of my mind right now. But they definitely need another one. They don't have a number one corner right now. Will Johnson, the best available. Makes too much sense. Now with the 12th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. He's the best wide receiver now available. A lot of people have him going here if Ashton Jenny does not fall. I could see Omarion Hampton potentially going there. I think they go probably wide receiver, though. It just seems like a Dallas Cowboys pick. I guarantee they probably think Javonte Williams is enough, even though that's just not the case. So I think they personally probably go Matthew Golden. They could go guard because they lost Zach Martin, but it's going to be running back or wide receiver, in my opinion, which at this point would be Omarion Hampton or Matthew Golden, and I personally think they would take Matthew Golden. This is not what I would do. This is what I think teams would do, by the way, because I would have probably had a guy like at pick 8, Mike Green, going to the Panthers, and right here I would probably take Omarion Hampton, but that's just my opinion. But this is what I think the teams are going to do. So the Dolphins are now on the clock. The Dolphins have also lost a lot of key pieces this offseason to salary cap casualties and just the free agency in general. They need offensive line badly, though. They have not re-signed Isaiah Wynn. He is still a free agent. They have lost Teron Armstead to retirement. They need a lot of pieces on that offensive line, and it was already horrible last season. They lost Kendall Lamb, who's a good backup tackle. So they need a lot of pieces on that offensive line. So this is, again, no question in my opinion. They have to go offensive lineman here. And that question is, who is it? Is it Josh Simmons or Kelvin Banks? Josh Simmons has the flexibility to move to guard, so does Kelvin Banks. Personally, from what I have watched, I personally probably like Kelvin Banks slightly more. I like Josh Simmons, though, as well. So this is pretty much just pick your choice here. But I probably view teams probably view Kelvin Banks a better player. So, with the 13th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Kelvin Banks, tackle, Texas. They go best player available here when it comes to the offensive line. They need guard, they need tackle. They just need everything on that offensive line. Now, with the 14th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select, you would think, a tight end. Obviously, you would think a tight end. Now, they did lose a lot of pieces on that offensive line. Specifically, the guard to the Minnesota Vikings. Again, I'm so tired right now. They lost him to the Minnesota Vikings. So they could go guard here. Question is, would they really reach for a guy like Tyler Booker or a guy like Gray Zabel, who's not listed as a guard here for some reason? Could they go something like that? It's kind of a reach in my opinion. Could they go Josh Simmons and convert him to guard? They could. But, yeah, yet again, they're taking a tight end. 14th overall pick in the 25 NFL draft. The Indianapolis Colts select Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. Best tight end available here. They have to go him here. They could go offensive line, like I said, like Gray Zabel. Maybe he goes earlier than what people expect. I like Gray Zabel. Personally, I actually have him as my number 2 guard in the draft in terms of from the film I've watched. I like Donovan Jackson a little bit more. I do understand, though, why some people do like a guy like Gray Zabel more because of his flexibility. He can play guard. He can play guard, center, maybe even tackle in the NFL. Um, but yeah, they go Tyler Warren here. The other reason why I was even considering another possible pick here with the Colts at 14, they just re-signed Mo Alley Cox the other day, who they really like. So maybe they do take a shot pick there and go Gray Zabel or Josh Simmons or something like that. But they have to go Tyler Warren. Their offense is dreadful. I understand they got Jonathan Taylor, they got Michael Pittman, they got Josh Downs, but like they got to have another playmaker on that offense to have Anthony Richardson develop to be a good quarterback in this National Football League. Now with the 15th overall pick in the 2025 NFL drafts, the Atlanta Falcons have to go defensive lineman here, right? They could go with center. They lost Drew Dahlman to the Chicago Bears. So they could go. They could go a center here. Could also go a different route. They could go defensive end. They could go receiver. I don't know why wide receiver is the number 1 need. They got Drake London and Darnell Mooney. But they could go receiver. They could go center. They could go edge. I could even see them going linebacker. And you know what? That's where we're going to go. Call me crazy. With the 15th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Jahad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama. He's the best linebacker in this draft. There's no question. He can play defensive end. He can play linebacker. More of a linebacker. A little bit undersized. He's around 242. I like him a lot coming out of the draft. I'd love the Lions to get him at pick 28, but he just won't fall there. I could see the Lions personally trading up to get him if he was around at pick 222, somewhere around there. But the Lions will not go up this far to pick him. And the Falcons get a really good player here with Jahad Campbell. There's still some good defensive ends available that the Falcons could target, or they could wait to the second and third round to get a defensive end. So I think there's options there with the Atlanta Falcons later in the draft to get another defensive end, or through veteran free agency. Maybe they bring back Matt Judon. Maybe they sign Zadarius Smith, Von Miller. Who knows? So with the 16th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select. They probably would have took Will Johnson here if he was still available. So, guess who they're going to take? They're going to take Jahdae Barron, cornerback, Texas. He's going to be a slot corner in the NFL. You saw what Brian Branch did. He's going to go, in my opinion, pretty high. He's a very talented cornerback in this draft. So I really just think it depends if the Cardinals want to take a slot cornerback. But which I think they do. They have Sean Murphy-Bunting. They do have Starling Thomas, but that's just not good enough in that cornerback room. So they go Jahdae Barron. I could see them going a guy like potentially Gray Zabel, like I said, the guard position. Will Hernandez has not signed anywhere yet. But I personally think they got to go a corner here. They would again take Will Johnson if he would have fell, but he did not fall, so they go Jahdae Barron. Now with the 17th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals, unfortunately, select one of my favorite players in the draft, Mike Green, defensive end, Marshall. I would not be mad if the Lions trade up 11 picks here to get Mike Green. I love Mike Green. He's my second graded defensive end in this draft. I think he is a top 8 talent in this draft. I think he is extremely talented, extremely explosive, he's got a great bend. He's even got some power for his size. He's under 250, so he's got some power. This is exactly what the Bengals want, in my opinion. They got a bigger defensive end, Trey Henderson, who I'm assuming they'll work out a contract, but who knows? They do got Joseph Asai. I could see them going Jahad Campbell here if he would have fell, and Mike Green would have got picked. But they go Mike Green. This is a great pick for the Cincinnati Bengals at pick 17. Probably my favorite pick of the mock draft so far. With the 18th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks have to go an offensive lineman. They absolutely have to. It actually looks like PFF has updated their board too now that I look at it. Walter Nolan was like pick 25, pick 26, so he's now number 8. That's interesting. I could actually see Walter Nolan potentially go to the Seahawks, but he's not going to go there in my opinion. With the 18th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Josh Simmons, tackle, Ohio State. He can play guard in the NFL. He can play tackle. Mostly going to be a tackle, but I could definitely see him shifting to guard. They could go Grace Abel here. Still slight reach, in my opinion, to do that. So they go Josh Simmons, the best offensive lineman available. They need an offensive lineman badly. They lost Lincoln Tomlinson in free agency. They absolutely need some offensive linemen. Their offensive line was horrible last season. Lincoln Tomlinson was not good in his own right, but now they got even worse by losing him. So they have to go offensive line here, in my opinion. They could go edge, but they got good depth at edge, in my opinion. So they go Josh Simmons, who's going to be a tackle or guard. That's a good pick by the Seahawks. With the 19th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have traded the 19th pick. Actually, no. Hold on, let me see here. Yep, I think so. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have traded the 19th overall pick to the Houston Texans. With the 19th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Grace Abel, guard, North Dakota State. They have to go offensive line again. This is not Buccaneers. This is the Houston Texans. They have to get an offensive lineman. Josh Simmons already off the board. Kelvin Banks off the board. Will Campbell off the board. Armand Membu off the board. They have to go offensive line here. If Grace Abel wouldn't have fallen to their pick, they would have had to reach for a guy like Tyler Booker or a Josh Connerly, and they just don't want to do that. So they trade up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at pick 19 and select Grace Abel. Now, with the 20th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos go best player available here, which is Omarion Hampton, running back, North Carolina. I could potentially see Omarion Hampton even going to pick 10 to the Bears or pick 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. He falls to pick 20, falls into the Broncos' laps, and they absolutely need a running back. So they go Omarion Hampton. They lost Javonte Williams in free agency. There's no way they roll with Audric Estime as a running back one heading into the year. So the Broncos take Omarion Hampton at pick 20. With the 21st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select the most overrated player in the draft, Jackson Dart, quarterback, Mississippi. I've not liked his film at all. I have like a 5th round grade on him. Not a 5th, but I got a 4th round grade on him. I don't think he's a good quarterback. He could kind of get the Kenny Pickett hype here. I think they're going to get a bust. I'm pretty sure Kenny Pickett was the 20th overall pick. So now the Pittsburgh Steelers come back a couple years later, one pick later, and take another overrated quarterback in Jackson Dart. So, again, I don't understand why the Steelers would do this to Aaron Rodgers. They've still not signed Aaron Rodgers. I think even though if they would sign Aaron Rodgers, it would still make sense to draft Jackson Dart. It would probably actually make more sense if they did sign Aaron Rodgers and draft Jackson Dart than it would just drafting Jackson Dart. That way, Jackson Dart can develop behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, even though Rodgers isn't what he used to be. So the Pittsburgh Steelers go Jackson Dart here, pick 21. With the 22nd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Colson Loveland, tight end, Michigan. I believe they signed Tyler Conklin in free agency from the New York Jets. But Tyler Conklin, he's an okay tight end, number one. He's going to get you around 400 yards a year. Good blocking tight end, decent blocking tight end. They got to improve there, though. They don't have Gerald Everett anymore, who they lost last year to the Bears, who's currently a free agent. They lost Hayden Hurst, who is still a free agent, so they have to improve the tight end position. So they go Colson Loveland from Michigan, who's the best player available. With the 23rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, this is a trade down scenario, in my opinion, for the Packers. I could see them going defensive end. I could see them going corner. I could see them going a lot of different routes here. So, guess what? The Lions traded with the Packers last season. They're going to do it again. With the Green Bay Packers have traded the 23rd overall pick to the Detroit Lions. With the 23rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Whoa. The Detroit Lions select Jamar Stewart, defensive end, Texas A&M. I don't know why he's so low on that board. Again, this is the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions move up. They probably give up pick 101 to move up to pick 23. This is a good move by the Lions, in my opinion. They have to go best player available. Packers move back to pick 28. It just makes too much sense. Now the Vikings, they also were going to move back. They don't have any. They have 4 picks in this draft. They have to move back. They don't have a glaring need on the team right now, in my opinion, so they have to move back. They could go Walter Nolan. but they're going to move back. Hopefully they can get a guy they can develop maybe in the secondary since they lost Stephon Gilmore to develop. So they're going to trade back, I think, with the I think they're going to trade back with the Baltimore Ravens and end up getting like a 4th round pick in return. I think that's what the Minnesota Vikings are going to do. The Minnesota Vikings have traded the 24th pick to the Baltimore Ravens. With the 24th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select James Pierce, defensive end, Tennessee. He's got a lot of background problems when it comes to like anger management and stuff like that, and issues like that. I've heard. I mean, I don't know if those rumors are true, but from the interviews I've watched, James Pierce kind of does have that. I don't know how to say it, from that voice. He's got that tone in his voice, or just how he speaks. I just feel like he does kind of potentially have those issues. But he's still a very talented defensive end, great in Tennessee. I'd love for the Lions to get him at pick 28, and hopefully the Lions can change that. But the Baltimore Ravens go ahead and trade up to get James Pierce at 24. The Lions trade up with Packers to get Shamar Stewart at pick 23. So it's a win-win for both teams here. And with the 25th overall pick, who the Houston Texans traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With the 25th pick overall, with the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select. Ooh, this is tough. I think this is the route they're going to go. They select Malachi Stark, safety, Georgia. I mean, this is the best player available here. They lost Ryan Neal to free agency. I think he's still a free agent. He didn't play much last year, but they lost him. They got to improve that secondary. They go Malachi Stark. So again, this is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now with the 26th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the LA Rams select the next best safety available. They go Nick Eamon. Why is he so low? How is Kevin Winston at pick 20? Oh my God, their new updated board is horrible. They go Nick Eamon, safety, South Carolina. He's going to be probably a mid to late first round pick. Nick Eamon, very talented. Not quite as talented as Malachi Starks. He's a big safety, though. I believe he's 6'3", like 210. He's an absolute huge safety. They would probably want to get a guy like Colston Loveland if he fell here to pick 26, but he just is not in this mock draft. So that is where Nick Eamon goes. They lost John Johnson to free agency, still a free agent. They could improve the safety position. They did re-sign Ahkello Witherspoon. That's why I don't think they go Maxwell Harrison here and they go Nick Eamon instead. And with the 27th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select. Ooh, they trade back again, maybe? No. Do they? No, they don't. With the 27th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select. I don't know. Maxwell Harrison's beginning a lot of hype, so they go Maxwell Harrison, cornerback, Kentucky. He ran he ran a 4.29 at the draft, fastest 40 time in the draft. Very talented cornerback. I personally think he's slightly overhyped just because of his 40 time. Still good cornerback, though. I have an early second round grade on him. But I think the Vikings are pretty happy here to get him at pick 27, who they snag from the Green Bay Packers getting him. Now the Packers are here at pick 28, who they trade with the Detroit Lions. So with the 28th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the the Green Bay Packers select. This is a tough position for them. It really is. Taking a corner here's the reach. There's no safety available. It could go wide receiver. And I do think that's what they do. I think they go Luther Burden, wide receiver, Missouri. I know he has some issues, but that's where I think Luther Burden personally goes. I don't see the issues like a lot of people do, but I think Luther Burden goes pick 28 to the Green Bay Packers. They got to get number one wide receiver. Josh Jacobs said it. They got Jaden Reed, who I really like. They got Romeo Dobbs. They got Christian Watson, but they got to improve that wide receiver. They got Dontavian Wicks. They got a really solid wide receiver core, but they do need that true number one wide receiver. And Luther Burden, from what I watched on film, was the second best receiver in the draft. So I think getting him here at pick 20 is an absolute steal. With the 29th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select. Ooh, that's tough. Ooh, they go Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Mississippi. I was originally going to take Donovan Ezraku, but I'm like, they did lose Jonathan Allen to free agency. Walter Nolan's a pass rushing defensive tackle, so they replaced Jonathan Allen with Walter Nolan. I think that is a great pick by the Washington Commanders. He's probably going to be a mid first round pick in real life, so I think this is a great pick by the Washington Commanders. With the 30th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills go the other part that the Commanders would have gone. They go Donovan Ezraku, edge, Boston College. They could go Kenneth Grant here. I just don't think a nose tackle personally goes in the first round. I just don't think it makes sense. I like Kenneth Grant a lot. I just don't see a nose tackle go in the first round. Seems a little bit high to me. So they go Donovan Ezraku, very productive defensive end, has 16 sacks at Boston College last season. He's probably going to be a mid to late first round pick. So I think the Bills absolutely love getting Donovan Ezraku here at pick 30. They got Greg Russo, who they just extended this offseason, but he's not really an elite defensive end. So they try to get an elite defensive end here in Donovan Ezraku, who I think could very well be that. Now with the 31st overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs are in a tough position here. They really, really are. They are in a tough position here. Why is Omarion not rated pick 27? Wow, PFF really messed up the board. They could go tackle. They could go guard. They could go defensive line. Question is, who do they think is the best player available? Do they think it's Tyler Booker? Do they think it's Donovan Jackson? Do they think it's Josh Connerly? Do they think it's Nick Gordon? Do they think it's Omarion? Do they think it's Landon Jackson? Who do they think it is? Do they think it's Kenneth Grant? And I personally think they think it's Josh Connerly. Tackle, Oregon. It just makes too much sense. They need a tackle. They lost Joe Thuney, who I know is a guard, but he played tackle last year for him late in the year. They lost Joe Thuney. They could convert Josh Connerly to guard. He's probably going to play tackle, though. But they need tackle anyway. Juwan Taylor probably isn't going to last there much longer. Kingsley Sumatea probably going to be the guard there for him. So they go Josh Connerly, who, in my opinion, who they probably view as the best available player. And with the 32nd overall pick and the 2025 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select, you guessed it, Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. Again, I don't love Tyler Booker. He's my third ranked guard in the draft. But it is what it is. They go Tyler Booker. And this is my final and only mock draft, round one mock draft. Review here real quick. The trades and stuff like that so nobody gets confused. The Patriots traded back from pick 4 to pick 9 with the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints selected Shedeur Sanders at pick 4. The Patriots selected Will Campbell at 9. The Bears traded up with the Las Vegas Raiders to select Ashton Jennings at pick 6. The Raiders took Tyrell McMillan at pick 10. We had a couple more trades here, I think. We had, who is it? We had the Houston Texans trading up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at pick 19 to select Gray Zabel, guard from North Dakota State, and the Buccaneers ended up selecting Malachi Starks at pick 25. And did we have any other trades? Yes, we did. The Lions traded up to pick 23 to select Shamar Stewart. The Packers at pick 28 selected Luther Burden. The Minnesota Vikings moved back to pick 27 with the Baltimore Ravens, and the Baltimore Ravens selected James Pierce at pick 24. The Minnesota Vikings selected Maxwell Harrison. And that is every single trade and draft pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, according to Lions Livewire. So, leave thoughts in the comments down below. One Pride Go Lions. What players that fell to the second round thinks that should have gone in the first round? Probably the most notable, Kenneth Grant. Mecca Buka, maybe you can throw in there. So, leave your thoughts, comments down below. One Pride Go Lions. This is the longest video I made. My mouth hurts. My voice hurts. I'm going to go to bed. One Pride Go Lions. The draft is almost here.